And here we see the domestic donkey. Donkeys were descended from the Somali wild burro and were mainly bred to be pack animals to carry heavy loads. Some, though, even guard herds of sheep. A male donkey is called a jack, and a female is called a jenny. Donkeys eat hay, oats, and other foliage. Since they are descended from an animal from a warmer climate, they don't tolerate the cold very well, so it's best to bring them inside when winter hits. And here we see the ostrich, the largest bird in the world. Some of these stand up to 8 feet tall. These ostriches are all females. The males are the ones with the famous black and white feathers. Although ostriches can't fly, they are very fast runners, reaching speeds of up to 45 miles per hour. But contrary to popular belief, ostriches don't really stick their heads in the sand when scared or threatened. Ostriches are omnivores. In the wild, they eat insects, grass, and seeds. They even swallow pebbles to help digest their food. And the ostrich lays the biggest eggs of any bird. The weight of one ostrich egg equals 2 dozen chicken eggs. Whenever ostriches are feeding, they often feed alongside other animals such as zebras and antelopes so as to warn each other of predators. Presenting Her Most Royal Majesty, the lioness, the queen of beasts. Lions once lived on every continent except for Australia and Antarctica. But nowadays, the only places to find wild lions are the savannas of sub-Saharan Africa, and a small number live in the Gir forests of India. The lion is the world's second largest cat behind the Siberian tiger. Of all the big cats, lions are the only ones that live in large family groups known as prides, which are usually made up of 1 or 2 males, several lionesses like this one, and their cubs. And the lionesses are usually related to each other: moms, sisters, daughters, etc. Anyway, in the pride, the lionesses are the ones that do most of the hunting. And in the wild, they hunt antelope, zebra, wildebeest, buffalo, and other hooved animals. After a successful hunt, the male gets to eat first. Male lions protect the pride's territory from wanderer males. Lions sleep for up to 20 hours a day because they don't have very effective sweat glands. In fact, a vast majority of a lion's hunting is done at night. Its night vision is 7 times better than that of a human. When lionesses hunt together, they catch 2 out of every 5 animals that they chase, whereas a lioness hunting alone would only catch 1 out of every 6 animals it chases. When a lioness is about to give birth, it will find a secluded den away from the pride in which to have her cubs, and after a while the cubs will be old enough to be reintroduced to the rest of the pride. And here we see a whole herd of greater kudu. Kudu are a species of antelope native to the plains of eastern and southern Africa. Females tend to live in smaller herds, while males either live alone or in small bachelor herds. Male kudu have magnificent spiral-shaped horns that are used in fights for mating rights. But both genders have white stripes on their bodies which act as camouflage. In the wild, they mainly browse on grass, leaves, shrubs, and buds. Like many antelope, female kudu give birth under dense cover to keep their young safe from predators such as lions.
It's hard to see them.
See the giraffes?
And there we see a herd of Thomson's gazelle, one of the most recognizable antelope in all of Africa.
You want to come over this way?
They are found solely on the savannas of Kenya and Tanzania, but they are incredibly fast runners, And when threatened by a predator, they will usually run in a zigzag pattern and can outmaneuver almost every predator except for the cheetah. Both male and female gazelles have horns, but the males mostly have larger horns due to their ritualistic fights. And they have scent glands behind their eyes, which they can use to mark territory. Man, these guys sure are crack-a-lackin'. This is a pair of the plains zebra. Zebras live in large herds that are made up of a single stallion, 5 or 6 mares, and their foals. In the wild, they mainly eat grass and other ground plants, but they only nip off the top parts of the grass, leaving the lower shoots for animals such as antelope and wildebeests. A zebra's stripes are mainly used to deter biting flies, and a zebra's stripe pattern is exactly like a human fingerprint. No two are exactly alike. Oh, and zebras are actually black with white stripes, not vice versa. Zebras on the Serengeti are well known for undergoing large migrations along with wildebeests and sometimes Thomson's gazelles. First, they cross from the Serengeti to the Masai Mara in Kenya, but then the southern rains send them back to the Serengeti. Dutch settlers had actually attempted to domesticate zebras, but these attempts were mostly unsuccessful because zebras have a very strong fight or flight urge and a very unpredictable temperament. Okay, I got a pretty tall order to fill. That is the reticulated giraffe, and these are the Maasai giraffe. The name giraffe comes from the Arab word zarafa, which means the one that walks very fast. The second part of its Latin name, camelopardalis, came from the fact that ancient stories said that giraffes were made from spare parts of the camel and the leopard. So pretty much the giraffe's Latin name means the fast-walking camel leopard. Giraffes are the tallest land mammals in the world, some standing up to 16 feet tall, even taller than a double-decker bus. Despite this, though, there are only 7 vertebrae in their necks. They just get their long necks by having bigger vertebrae than our own. And the tongue of an adult giraffe is 18 inches long. That and their hairy lips help them to avoid the thorns, because in the wild they mainly browse on leaves and are particularly fond of acacia leaves and mimosa trees. Giraffes don't do much chewing before they swallow because, like cows, they have 4-chambered stomachs which are used for ruminating or chewing their cud. Giraffes don't have true horns, but instead have bony bumps called ossicones. Females, like our friend Sammy here, have hair on the top of their ossicones, while males have bare ossicones used for their ritualistic fights known as necking. Giraffes live in loose-knit groups called towers, and whenever a giraffe tower is feeding together, they face in opposite directions to keep a lookout for lions. And a baby giraffe is born with a 5-foot fall to the ground because giraffes give birth standing up. Here we see a family of cheetahs. Unlike leopards, cheetahs have black tear lines on the sides of their faces which act like sunglasses, protecting their eyes from the hot African sun. Also, cheetahs can't roar, but they can purr, just like a house cat. And unlike all other cats, cheetahs can't retract their claws, thus they're used like cleats as they chase down their prey. In the wild, they hunt small to medium-sized antelope, hares, birds, and wild pigs. And they can reach speeds of up to 70 miles per hour. They're able to obtain such long distances because of their, as I've said, non-retractable claws, but also a flexible spine and powerful lungs. Despite this, however, Cheetahs are not built for long distances, so if the chase lasts for more than a minute, they tire. Only half of all cheetah hunts end in success. Cheetahs are listed as vulnerable on the IUCN Red List, mainly due to habitat loss and a lack of genetic diversity, making them more vulnerable to disease. Right here, we see a troop of vervet monkeys. They are very common throughout sub-Saharan Africa, and, like most monkeys, they live in large troops with a strict hierarchy. In the wild, they're opportunistic feeders, feeding on fruit, eggs, leaves, and insects. Vervets are mainly found on savannas and in woodlands rather than in rainforests like many other African monkeys. Despite being listed as least concern, their numbers are dwindling mainly due to habitat loss and capture for laboratory experiments. Not to mention the fact that, unlike Asia's Hanuman langur, which is sacred, these monkeys are often viewed as vermin. Of course, like all social primates, vervet monkeys spend a lot of time grooming each other, keeps each other clean, and helps reinforce social bonds. Maybe we should try that at the next family reunion. You sit down in the chair and I run my finger through your hair.
I think not.
Why, when he was a young warthog, when I was a young warthog. That's right, it's the warthog, probably Africa's most famous wild pig. The warthog gets its name from the wart-like bumps on its face, the purpose of which is not yet known. Warthogs tend to live in small groups known as sounders, which are usually made up of a single boar, sows, and piglets. In the wild, warthogs mainly eat grass and herbs, and many times they have to get on their knees in order to eat properly. Warthogs have 4 pairs of tusks that are mainly used as weapons in fights, and the lower tusks are sharpened every time the warthog moves its mouth. Although warthogs are very adept diggers, they don't dig their own burrows. Instead, they use either fallen termite mounds or abandoned aardvark burrows. And of course, like all wild pigs, warthogs spend the hottest part of each day wallowing in mud. It acts as their sunscreen and deters biting flies. Although warthogs have poor eyesight, it's more than made up for by great senses of hearing and smell. Danger! Ha! I laugh in the face of danger. Ha 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 ha! Right. Anywho, a duo of spotted hyenas, or Crocuta. Even though they resemble dogs and share a common ancestor, they're separated by millions of years of evolution. In fact, hyenas are actually more closely related to cats than they are to dogs. And even though they do scavenge, they are not strict scavengers. They are very efficient predators and can take down prey as big as zebra. And they can eat every part of the carcass, including bones, horns, and even teeth, because hyenas have among the strongest bite force in the animal kingdom. Spotted hyenas live in large clans that are matriarchal. Even the clan's highest-ranking male must submit to the lowest-ranking female. Well, that's my family for you. And when hyenas laugh, they more laugh when they're under attack, when they're frustrated. And that hyena's behavior with the boxes somewhat similar to how they would be at a carcass. Wonder if they found a nice juicy bone in there. At one point, it was believed that hyenas were hermaphrodites, or animals of dual sex, because, well, I prefer to keep things PG on my channel, so you'll have to look it up for yourself.